Hey, Steve Stine from Guitar Zoom here, and today what I want to do is help you out with 3 things that can make a really big difference in the blues sound of your guitar solos. Now, when we first start learning how to play, oftentimes we learn how to play what we call the minor pentatonic scale, which most of you probably know, but the minor pentatonic scale, I'm going to play this in A. It looks like this. It goes 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, and 5-8. Okay? Now, it's a wonderful scale, and we use it for all sorts of different things, but there's a couple things that you can learn to do to expand this scale just a little bit to make it sound a lot more authentic when you're playing blues. Now, of course, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some practice on your end and things like that, but let me show you a couple things that you can do. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about what we refer to as the blues note, or the blue note, it's often referred to as. Basically, what we're going to do is, if we can find the A in our scale here, right here, what we're going to do is go 1, 2, 3 notes in the pentatonic, and it's the pinky right next to it. It's the note right next to that. Now, this note, this blue note, is a wonderful bluesy sounding note, but it's not a note that you would want to try and emphasize. It's a note that you're going to use in conjunction with other things. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit, kind of show you how to use it, and then what I'm going to do is play it in a couple different spots on the guitar, just so you can kind of see how you can find it in other places as well. So I'm in this minor pentatonic, and it's right there. Now, what I like to do is I'll play the scale. So I'll go from 5, 7, 8 of this 3rd string. So that 8 is my blue note there. And I'll go to the 5 of the 2nd string. And see, I can make a little lick there. So you can use the blue note as you travel toward the floor, or as you travel toward the ceiling, right? So that note also exists down here. Now, I could play it like this so you can see the similarity. Here's an A. So there it is right there as well. So anything I do here, I can do here. Okay. But let's look at this A minor pentatonic again and see where that exists. It's right here. It's right there. So you see right there what I'm doing is playing kind of a hammer-on pull-off thing from the 5. So these 2 notes, this 6 right here and this 8 right here, are octaves of each other. They're the same note, they're just octaves different. So you see, by just adding that one note in 2 different places, of course, it makes a big difference in how that minor pentatonic sounds. Now, you don't have to use it all the time, right? You can add it whenever you like. And it sounds pretty cool. The second thing I'm going to show you, which is really, really neat and very easy to add in, is a hammer-on note, which we're using from the 5 on the 3rd string to the 6 on the 3rd string. Now, if you know anything about your theory, what I'm doing here is I'm actually playing what we call the minor 3rd to the major 3rd. Now, when we play the minor pentatonic scale, we have this 5 right here, but when we look at the A major chord, we actually want this 6, which doesn't exist there. Okay? So what I'm doing is I'm just adding it in. So I'm playing both the 5, which is like a minor chord, and the 6, which is like a major chord. And for blues, it sounds really nice. And what you're going to see there is what I'm doing, whenever I play the 5 to the 6, I don't have to hammer it. I can pick them, and it's perfectly fine. But it tends to sound more bluesy when you play from the 5 to the 6, as opposed to the 6 to the 5. It kind of loses its blues luster, if you will, when I play it as a pull-off or I play it backwards from 6 to 5. So if you really want to get the most out of it, play it forward from 5 to 6. Right? So even if I travel towards the floor, I travel towards the ceiling, I'm still doing that hammer on. Now, if you think about it, what's really cool now is you've got a 3 to a 4. You've got I should say it this way. I'll say it as frets. You're going from the 5 to the 6 here. Well, you have this 7 that was minor pentatonic. You had 5 and 7 that were minor pentatonic. And you also have this 8 over here, which is the blue note that we just talked about. So you actually have 4 notes in a row right here that you can use. Now, in order to play them and make them sound bluesy, if that's what we're looking for, instead of just going, which doesn't really sound as bluesy, we have to think about what we call phrasing, which is how we're kind of using the notes together. So we know we can use the 5 and 7 together as minor pentatonic. We also know we can now add that blue or blues note in. And we've got this hammer on that we can add in all sorts of different ways. And of course, we can do this across the whole fretboard. I'm just showing you in one position here, okay? So first thing, the blue or blues note. The second thing is this little hammer-on or movement, upward motion from 5 to 6. Okay? And the next thing, the last thing I want to show you that's really helpful, if you've never done this before, is adding in the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Now, normally we would play 5 and 8, okay, which is minor pentatonic. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to play 5 to 7. Now, that doesn't mean we don't use the 8. We can certainly use the 8 as much as we always have. It's just, again, something else to do to change up the sound a little bit. So what I want to do is show you this nice little, fairly straightforward little lick that you can do, and then you can explore things on your own. Let's go from 5 to 6 on the 3rd string like we just talked about. And again, you can pick it or hammer it, whatever you want to do. And then 5 to 7 on the 2nd string. And then 5 to 8 on the 1st string, which is minor pentatonic. And if I play those 3 strings together, you can hear a lot of bluesy phrasing happening within the context of those, which is different than just playing minor pentatonic. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that either, right? It just sounds differently. So one of the things that you have to learn is not only the scale that you're playing, which is really, really important, and learning how to embellish things like we're talking about right now, which is really important, obviously, but the last thing is to think about how you're playing the notes together. I was trying to explain to people it's not a matter of just learning the scale and all these other notes that go on top of it, which is a great start. It's learning how to effectively play them so you're getting the sound that you're looking for. If I just take all of these notes and just play them all the time, it doesn't sound bluesy. It just sounds like a bunch of notes. Now, I could do my best to make, music out of that as well, because there's no rules to this. I'm just trying to show you when you use certain notes together, you tend to get a certain kind of sound, which can be very useful to you. So let's say you're playing in minor pentatonic and you're doing the things that you always like to do. And then you throw in this, or whatever it might be, or a blues note. It sounds pretty cool, okay? But again, it takes time to develop all of these different things, but I want to show you those and see if that might help you a little bit on your guitar journey. So again, practice hard, stay positive, and I will talk to you soon.